Hi, my name's Wendy. I have a son, Logan, who has learned how to communicate using a spelling board. And I just wanted to share our story in hopes it would help some other individuals and families. I was quite skeptical for the first 6 months of him learning how to use a letterboard, spelling to communicate. And one day he was home and he was very dysregulated. His behaviors were quite bad. And I lost my temper with him. And I was quite stern. And I said to him, Logan, if you don't knock it off and pull yourself together and calm down, you're going in a home. Well, apparently he had harbored, quite a bit of resentment towards me over the next few days because when we took him to see his spelling to communicate teacher, he threw me under the bus and he spelled to her, Mom is so done with me. She has had it. She is done. She wants to give me away. She threatened to put me in a home. They were his own words. And I was mortified. There's no way his teacher could have known that I had said that to him. No way. And I wanted to crawl under my chair and die of embarrassment. It was off. It was like an awful feeling watching it unfold as he's spelling it. I'm like, oh my God, he's actually going to tell her what I said. But I became a believer after that, that's for sure. And he continues to this day to surprise us with the things that he says. Just, Sunday morning, it snowed quite a bit. And I had plans to go shopping and meet my mom and my sister for a day of Christmas shopping. And Frank and Logan had gotten up before me. So Frank was like, hey, I'm going to go shovel the driveway so that, when you leave, you're not going to, it doesn't ice up and the driveway isn't a mess. So you got Logan. He hasn't had breakfast yet. And so I gave Logan some options for breakfast. A few options that were quick for me to make because I really wanted to, do a few things and get myself ready to go for the day. So I was like, Logs, do you want some avocado toast? Do you want me to, I gave him a couple options. And Logan spelled, Dad said I could have pumpkin pancakes. Well, that wasn't one of the options that I gave him. I'm like, oh, pumpkin pancakes, that is a lot of work. And I never make pancakes. That's my husband's thing. He loves to make pancakes for the kids. So I was just like, oh man, now I gotta make pancakes. It's taking me forever. So I made the pumpkin pancakes, got ready. Frank came in. I'm like, did you tell Logan I would make him pumpkin pancakes? He said, oh, yeah, I did. I'm like, thanks a lot. You knew I had to get ready. That's a lot of work. And he's like, well, it's Sunday. I usually make pancakes. And I knew he was getting hungry. I'm like, all right, whatever, but, it just goes to show you, okay, his father did tell him, unbeknownst to me, that he could have pumpkin pancakes for breakfast. I didn't know that conversation took place. So, what else? As far as health goes, I was bit by a tick when I was pregnant with Logan. And a few years ago, some symptoms started popping up with the two of us, and we were seeing the same Lyme specialist. And she put both of us on this Lyme tincture, among other things. So one day Logan spelled to me, Mom, stop giving me those Uriel drops. He spells Uriel. And I'm like, what is he? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So I thought that he, made a typo. When we're typing or on our phones, sometimes we make typos. We hit the wrong letter. Well, these kids, that happens to them too. They, sometimes hit the wrong letters, and then they get all discombobulated after they hit one wrong letter, and they're like, oh. So the word made no sense to me. I'm like, Logan, I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't make sense. So I lifted the board, put it back down in front of him again. He spelled the same word again. Stop giving me those Uriel drops. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't make sense. Try again. He goes, the drops, Mom, the drops. Stop giving me the drops, he spells out. I'm like, Logan, you're on 4 different drops. I go to the butler's pantry. I'm like, you're on vitamin D drops. You're on CBD drops. You're on ashwagandha drops. You're on, and I pulled out the Lyme remedy drops. I'm like, you're on these Lyme drops. And I look at the label, and the company that manufactures them is Uriel, this company called Uriel, Uriel, just like he had spelled it. And I'm like, oh, so he was paying attention to that on the label. Meanwhile, I'm paying attention to, their Lyme drops. So I'm like, okay, is this what you mean? He's like, yeah, those. Stop giving those to me. They're bothering me. I'm like, okay. So I stopped giving them to him. I continued to take them over the next couple of days. And then lo and behold, I had this rough Herxheimer reaction. It was like my skin was burning, pins and needles feelings. It was like rough, some rough like die off was happening. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, Logan, this is what I'm feeling. Is this what you're feeling? He's like, yeah, some similar to that, Mom. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I was so grateful that he was able to tell me, because I would have continued giving him those drops. I would have had no idea. And if his behavior had acted up, I would have just blamed the behavior on, Lyme or something else. He was having a bad day. And had I not been taking the same remedy, who knows how long that could have gone on for, that I was giving them to him. So it's been a blessing. Trying to think of some other examples. Over the summer, he, woke up. Hey, Logs, how you doing? What do you want for breakfast? He's like, my throat hurts. Oh, okay, honey. Well, I'll take you to the doctor. I just want to make sure it's not strep. So I go to the doctor. Sure enough, she's like, oh yeah, his throat is very red. Now, I would have had no idea that, he had a sore throat and wasn't feeling good. And she did a swab test, and it came back negative, the rapid, strep test. But she's like, I think he's coming down with a virus. And sure enough, a couple days later, he started having some cold symptoms. So it just reinforces, that this is legitimate to me. I get confirmation like that all the time. Trying to think of what else. Oh, this funny story the other day. Frankie had a doctor's appointment, his brother, and I went with him. And afterwards, I wanted to go to this store that was nearby the doctor's office and do a little Christmas shopping. And Frankie wanted these Adidas socks. And I'm like, all right, let me pick up something small for your brother, because I don't want, to get one thing for one kid and nothing for the other kid. And so Logan loves Christmas, and he loves stickers. Stickers, really help him with his fine motor skills. So I got him some Christmas stickers. So when I got home, I was showing him the stickers. Look what I got you. And I'm like, hey, Logs, what do you want to put these on? You want to put these on your notebook, you know, a journal, your journal, or do you want to put them on your iPad case? He's like, I want to put them on a skateboard. I'm like, a skateboard? It never like dawned on me. Put them on a skateboard. I'm like, we can't put these on any of your brother's skateboards. I'm like, his birthday's coming up, December 21st. Do you want me to get you a skateboard for your birthday? And he spells, no, I want one now. I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, he's fresh. He's, it's funny getting to know your kid. He could be a little spoiled and a little fresh sometimes. So that was pretty funny. And then when I went to bed that night, I realized my nephew Connor has been by my other son Frankie's side for the past year and a half, and that's a whole nother story. But my nephew Connor, he's a skateboarder. He skateboards a lot when he's at my house, in his free time when he's not with Frankie. And I'm like, no wonder Logan wants a skateboard. He's been watching his cousin ride a skateboard, and he's like, I want to do that too. So he got to tell me, now the kid's gonna get a skateboard. What else? Let me look here. I think these kids, all right, Logan, I'm noticing some other nice things that are coming about since we started this whole spelling to communicate journey. And he is following directions better than he ever has in his life. We have been working on him following directions all his life, and we didn't really make a lot of progress with it. And now all of a sudden, within the past couple years, especially the last year, he is following directions so well that I can't help but think this has something to do with it. Because I'm like, is it his motor planning that's better? The spelling to communicate definitely is helping with motor planning and, his eye tracking. But I think the other part of it is that I am presuming competence, and I believe that he can do these things that I'm just asking him to do, and he's rising to the occasion. So I just, want to say to school districts, please presume competence with these kids. The research shows, in typical classrooms, when the teachers presume competence with their students, the students do much better. And it's the same with these kids. I feel guilty because I didn't presume competence for many years. And even when his teachers in school had more confidence in his ability to learn than I did. I remember when he was at Langan School, his teacher, Nicole, it was right when they started the Common Core. And I was one of those parents who was kind of like, I don't know about this, this is probably a waste of time teaching these kids science and social studies lessons when they could be, working on speech more with these kids and communication more with these kids and life skills and following directions, But, a couple weeks into his teacher, Nicole, starting these science and social studies lessons, I happened to stop by the school to pick up Logan because he had an appointment after school. And she says to me, Wendy, Logan is really enjoying these science and social studies lessons. He is so engaged and so happy. He is really enjoying them. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, he loves it. And now that I know what I know, that he's smart, it makes sense to me that he was enjoying them so much, because these kids are starving for an education. And for him, learning, having a science or a social studies lesson in that setting was new to him. He was learning stuff that he'd never learned in an educational setting before. And so, of course, that makes sense that he was happy and engaged and, really thriving in that moment, in those moments, And then, a year after that, like a couple years after that, he had a different teacher by the name of Lacey. And she said to me one day, Wendy, I think Logan can read. And I'm like, no, you need to, keep working on those phonics goals that are on his IEP. Because, Logan was kind of new to her. And she's like, no, I'm telling you, I think he can read. And she explained to me, why she believed he could read already. And I'm like, I was half listening, I gotta be honest with you. And, I just didn't believe it. Well, now that I know what I know, yeah, he could have, I'm no doubt in my mind back then, he could read. And I'm seeing other things, other ways this is benefiting him that you see with kids. A lot of times when kids learn to communicate using like a Proloquo Go or PECS, their speech benefits from it and they start, speaking. And I'm starting to see that with Logan. He is reading, like if I put a book in front of him and I take my finger and go like this under the words, he will verbalize the words. He is like verbalizing what he's reading out loud. That's amazing to me. He's also, when you're, first teaching a student, how to communicate using a letterboard, you verbalize the letters as they're pointing to them. So Logan will point to the R, I would say R, and he was I, D, E, ride. And now he is starting to verbalize the letters himself as he's pointing to them. He'll spell, if I ask him a question and the answer is yes, he'll say Y-E-S as he himself is pointing to them, or N-O. And then the other day I said to him, I'm running around, we were getting ready to leave the house, and I wasn't paying attention, to what he was doing exactly. And I said, hey, Logan, did you go to the bathroom? I want you to go, make sure you went to the bathroom before we get in the car. We have a long ride. Did you go to the bathroom? So I put the letterboard in front of him because I thought out of the corner of my eye I saw him head towards the bathroom, but I wasn't sure if he actually went. So I said, did you go to the bathroom? And he verbalizes I-D-I-D. I'm like, oh, you did? Okay, great. And then I was making a salad for myself another day. I'm like, Logs, I'm making myself a salad. Do you want a salad? And he goes, S-U-R-E. Sure. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, it's definitely helping that language and speech part of the brain learning to communicate on this letterboard, just like it does across the board well, not across the board, but just like it can and it does when students learn to communicate with like a Proloquo Go or a PECS. Their language, their verbalization skills improve as well. It can be, a step towards them becoming, verbal communicators. And I'm seeing that with Logan with this. I mean, we've been, doing this since like the summer of 2021, and starting to happen. It's definitely emerging for him, and I couldn't be more happy. So, I just really want school districts to, you know, um, take this seriously and to give it a chance and to try it and to, you know, if nothing else, at least presume competence and give these kids some access to, age appropriate lessons and classes, because they are definitely starving for an education. And what does it hurt, if the student hasn't been making any meaningful progress in their current, you know with their current goals? Why not try it? I mean, legally, you have to take a parent's hopes and dreams for their child into consideration when developing an IEP. So, you know, I would really love to see school districts to please take, if a parent's hopes and dreams are for their child to be, exposed to age appropriate curriculum, and to, have, to be able have access to a communication board as their method of communication. I mean, you know, I really hope that school districts will do that. And I thank you. I'm going to end this video. It's longer than I wanted. But I appreciate the time. Thank you.